So roses, buds, and thorns from yesterday. Roses, the temperatures just were not horrible. At one point, I think it did go up to 90 maybe, but there was a little bit of a breeze. But that was because of the rain front coming in. I knew it too, I could tell. The breeze just felt too comfortable, too nice, too cooling, that there was a cold front coming, and we did get that rain last night. I don't count that though as a thorn. I didn't get wet, and they need the water, so it's good. So that was the bud, or I'm sorry, that was the rose. The bud, I'm going to be done today. I go up to Elkwallow, get myself a burger with the raw onions and pepper jack cheese. And I hear that their milkshake machine is working. At least that was the last report. And it was a really good milkshake. So I'm going to do that. One thing that you don't know about yet, because I haven't told you yet, last night when I got here, John and Luke have decided they want to go home a little bit earlier than what they had planned. And so I'm going to meet them at the Panorama parking lot. Maybe it's called Overlook. There's a parking lot there with bathrooms and picnic tables, and I took a break there yesterday. So it's a real nice place to hang out. That's only 1.1 for them, and I've got my 7.5 to do, but I'll go pick them up. And they're from St. Louis, so somehow they're going to get back to St. Louis, and I'm going to help them. And so that makes me feel good, and it helps them out. So in terms of thorns, I don't know. Did I have any thorns yesterday? I guess it could have been cooler. I don't know. The trail couldn't have been better. I don't know. So, maybe, nope, not that even. So I'm going to get hiking. I got a ways to go. See you up the trail. All right, 7 a.m. in the morning on my last day. I'll be at Elkwallow in 7.5 miles. Stayed here at Pass Mountain Hut. Real nice. Big fireplace, but about an hour after I got here, poured rain, just poured and poured and poured and poured. And then it rained some more, and then it stopped, and like, oh good, it's over. Well, then it rained some more. People wandered in, sopping wet. I was totally dry, and John and Luke, who were here before me, they were totally dry. But Mambo that came in, and Clutch, and a guy, he's hiked the entire Ice Age trail, and I'm whittling away at sections of it. And I don't think we never exchanged names, I don't think. But he's from Idaho, nice guy, real experienced. And then Gretel from Belgium came in. We had a real good, real nice evening, had dinner together and talking, just like you do. And the other nights I spent in shelters here. I've been by myself, which is actually, I'm kind of getting used to that. I kind of like that too, but I'm somewhat of a social being, I guess. So, you can't see it, but there's a cement post in front of me right there. I turned right to go down to Pass Mountain Hut, and I'm turning right to go back on the AT. So that's where I came from last night, and I turned right to go down to the hut, and I'm turning right so I don't get lost. As you may have seen in my Alaska videos, if you put your hiking poles up in a V so it looks to the caribou like you're one of them, they come over. And so I thought, well, I'll try it with this little deer. And just put the horns up, and he and or she started just wandering over towards me, looking at me, listening to me, of course. Yes, he doesn't know what I'm saying. Yeah. What do you think? All right. Well, I got to go. I got miles to make. Oh, and there's one behind me too. So you can see this one in front of me. There's one off to my left that you've already seen. And there's one behind me. And I've got my poles up like antlers. Yeah, they don't seem to be paying much attention to me though. They don't seem to care that I'm here one way or the other. All right. I know I said that I didn't have any thorns. And I didn't really, but I started the first person on the trail this morning, of course, this early. And low traffic, so there's not other people on the trail. I'm picking up every single stupid cobweb. I don't mind doing different kinds of blazing. Deli blazing to be good. I'm not too much into yellow blazing, but sometimes the blue blazes are cool. This silk blazing sucks. Constantly getting a full face of cobweb. I'm hiking with either one or two poles stretched out in front of me like I'm carrying a flag. And I think it's reducing, but it's clearly not eliminating all the silk I get to walk into. It just feels bleh. All right, shower is in my future. I don't know when, but it's in my future. Notice on this section where the bushes are, and there's a stupid spider. Can you see him? There he is. This wasn't my plan. I was going to do a different video, but there's a spider. He's coming after me. He's chasing me. All right, so that spider's gone. A little bit earlier, hit one of those silk nets. And I don't know, 10 yards later, I feel something crawling on my arm. And you may know what it is. It was a black spider, very small, half or a third the size of a dime. Totally black except for a bright yellow spot on its back. I did not spend lots of time observing him and documenting the details. He got off of my body as fast as I could, but that's what he looked like. So anyway, and now it's not true on the trail. I wanted to get back to the original trail story that we wanted to share. Back there, you may remember, the bushes were encroaching on the trail. So as you walk through, the wet bushes, because it rained yesterday, imparted all of their water onto my legs. And one of the problems I had hiking the King's Trail is it would rain and the humidity was so high, the bushes would stay wet for days. And as I walked through, they would load up my pants with water, which wicked up under my shell. So I actually was 2/3 totally wet just from water wicking up from those plants. So I did end up on that trip buying some rain pants, which it saved my trip, I think. So yeah, here's some more of that. Right now, I'm wearing shorts, so I don't care if my legs get wet. But on the King's Trail, it was often 50 degrees, 60 degrees, and you can't afford to get cold or wet. And I was getting wet, and it kind of sucked. My own fault. All right, so you got spider webs and spiders and rain pants. Good topics for today. Only 4.2 to the end. I'm almost halfway. One of my roses for today, I just ran into a guy from Germany hiking southbound. He started up in Front Royal. He's hiking southbound through Shenandoah National Park. So why is that such a big rose? Meeting people all the time. He's taller than I am. If he's taller than I am, that means he's taken out all the spider webs between here and Elkwallow. That's got to be my best rose of the day. There's the cement pole telling me I'm only 0.6 from Elkwallow. I stopped and just verified it like I always do, just to make sure I'm not lost. And I had a sudden feeling of, I don't know, sorrow or lament come over me. It was just kind of strange. But I realized that in 0.6 miles, I'm going to be back in my car. I'm going to be off the AT, back in the real world. Or maybe this is the real world. So, this isn't my last hike yet. At least I don't think it is. I sure hope it isn't. So, I wrap this day up a little later with my roses, buds, and thorns. Lots and lots of roses. This has been a great trip. Well, I've been back home from Shenandoah National Park for about a week. Just can't get enough hiking. I'm at a local metro park as I catch up with the roses, buds, and thorns. So my biggest rose is I actually finished Shenandoah National Park. As you know, it took me 4 tries. The first try, I just gotten back from Indonesia, drove to Chicago for a funeral, then drove basically straight out to Shenandoah National Park and tried to catch up with my hiking buddies. And I was sick, and it was raining, and I just decided to give up. I really shouldn't have even gone. That was the first try. The second try, guy I was with got a silver dollar sized blister on his heel. And so we decided just to call it quits. It was real painful. He wasn't having any fun. Now, my third attempt was last year at this time. I had a schedule to keep at home and I realized I just couldn't do the 15 miles that I needed to do. And I didn't have enough daylight, didn't have the legs to do it, so I ended up having to call it quits early. This year though, I planned for success. Gave myself some real short hiking days. One day was a 4.5 mile day into Skyland, and followed that up with about 6.5, leaving there down to Bird's Nest number 3. And so I was able to complete the entire Shenandoah National Park this time. So that's a big rose. People I met at Pass Mountain were real nice too. That was real fun. Get to talk with them, making dinner and sit around just like you always do. One thing really nice about that day at Pass Mountain was that I got there at least an hour before the rain and the hail started. So I was sitting inside, I was all dry and warm, not a problem. And most of the other people that came up, they had gotten caught in the rain and the hail. They were sopping wet and cold, but I was doing good. Another rose is that I was trying to do something new this time. So I came totally prepared to not cook any meals. That's first time I think ever since probably the 60s that I came prepared to cook without a stove or to eat without a stove. That worked out great. I still had food left over at the end, but I wasn't ever hungry, and I think I got good nutrition, and I didn't have to carry the weight of the stove or the fuel. So that worked out good. I also came without a sleeping bag. I just came with a sleeping bag liner, and that worked out really great most nights. The last night was a little bit cool, and my plan in that case was to put on my clothes, and I had a new sun hoodie. So it's got a hood, so I didn't even have a hat, except for this one, of course. But I put that up, crawled back in my sleeping bag liner, slept great, totally warm. So that was another success. Worked out real well. Part of my strategy for success was to plan a couple short days where I knew I could make the miles, and not to plan a long day where there might be a question. And that first short day was about 4.5 miles into Skyland Resort, where I got to have a couple good meals, a shower, slept in a bed with a pillow and some air conditioning, got to do some bathtub laundry. They also allowed me to drop my own resupply box off there at the front desk. So when I rolled in there, I just went to the front desk and checked in, and they ran in the back and got my resupply box with extra food and clean clothes. It worked out real well. When I left, they let me do the same thing. Anything I didn't want to carry with me, I crammed into that little box. And in that box, I had put some duct tape. So I had tape just to wrap it up again. Worked out real well. So, kind of wrapping up the roses, was able to help John and Luke get back home. They got back home safely. And nobody on the whole trip, during the whole experience, had any injuries. And that's a good thing, because in the past, you know, I've come across people that are injured, or myself, I've had heat exhaustion one time. Nothing at all. Everybody was safe. For buds, the scouts are planning to hike the Virginia Triple Crown from Dragon's Tooth, McAfee Knob, and up to Tinker Cliffs. And they're planning that whole trip. I'll go along to make sure they're safe. That's October, November. Planning to do Laurel Highlands in western Pennsylvania with the AT hiking group. And also I'm planning to get a few day hikes in on the Ice Age Trail. My AT hiking group also gets together for a one-night camp out with some day hikes in February, and that's usually cold, snow on the ground, and I'm looking forward to that. It's not as well attended as the summer hikes. Imagine that, to go camping when it's 10, 15, 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm looking forward to that. April, we'll do a long 3-day weekend again. That we don't know where that's going to be, as we don't know where our 1 week on the AT is going to be next summer. We get together at Panera Bread in January and figure those things out. And so lots of buds coming up. The one thing that kind of surprised me that was a thorn for the trip was a few days into it, somehow I brushed up against some nettles or something just above my gaiters on my right foot, right ankle. And not even into this week was still itchy, and I'm putting hydrocortisone cream on it. It seems to be better now, but I was totally surprised that became an issue. So the biggest thorn I had, I mentioned it a few times, by getting up early, being the first one to hit the trail, I got my face full of spider webs just all the time, and it felt uncomfortable, it wasn't fun, all those other negative things. So that's it, roses, buds, and thorns. I'm putting together the series that will come out on Wednesday called Wednesday Wins, which are little success stories, maybe hints for doing something a little bit better, a little differently. It was a little depressing to do Monday mistakes all the time without focusing on some of the things that happen that are positive. So thanks for checking me out. Leave me any comments and any suggestions for those Monday mistakes or Wednesday wins, or maybe trips you think I ought to take. See you down the trail.